Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today we have a special guest, Orion Aguilar. He is talking to us about movie during movie week. The movie is Why Shoot the Teacher? Welcome, Orion.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Miami Hill. Bring my son to schoolwork. Or how you say it? School to, I don't know how it goes, but yeah, bring my son to work day, I
It's a
guess.
long day for you,
Yeah.
Jacob. Yes. Why Shoot the Teacher is a 1977 Canadian drama starring Bud Cort and a whole lot of people I've never seen before. So let's just say it's starring Bud Cort, and it's directed by Silvio Narizano. And it's set in 1935 in Canada, Saskatchewan. And it's about a teacher who decides to travel to Canada in the Depression era, rural Canada, and the struggles that he has in the changing environment, in the low pay, the meager pay he's dealing with, the very low amount of resources that's handed to him. And I know, Jacob, I haven't said what I thought of the movie yet, but
Yeah.
Can we ever complain ever again about resources after watching this? I mean, this guy has nothing except for a few benches and a few books. I will say that I will recommend the film for a few reasons. Probably more than anything, I liked Bud Cort. I liked his teaching style. There were a couple of weird plot points in the movie that I thought I could have done without. And I guess I should probably say before I turn to you, or Ryan, ask you what you think. I could probably do without the love scene. I don't think it made any sense for this. I could do without the communist scene only because it felt like it was thrown in there to make a political point, and they left it. They just left it alone. Didn't really deal with much of it after that. Having said that, I want to talk to you a little bit later about his teaching style, which I thought was really strong. Overall, I'll recommend it. What do you think, Orion?
Yeah, I was actually gonna agree with you on that. I thought Bud Cort was really good in the movie. He's a good actor. Everyone else was actually pretty good at acting. Everyone kind of like made it feel pretty like they did a good job making it feel like it was the Depression. The set was really good. It's kind of sucks because I guess it's like a indie Canadian movie or something. So like the restoration was kind of off, but I mean that's not really a big deal. But it was actually, yeah, it was really well done. But the socialist stuff felt really like forced in. It didn't really feel like it felt like they were trying to do something with that, but they didn't finish that part of the script or something. Like you said, and I felt like the other point you made with the romance stuff really didn't make sense either. Like I feel like maybe they were trying to show that like that her life was not very happy, obviously, and maybe like they're trying to like, but they didn't really need it to be like a romantic subplot. That was kind of weird. I feel like they could have had more scenes with the kids. I feel like I didn't really see enough of him building the relationship with the kids, but when it was there, it did a really good job of showing that. So I thought it was really good, and I feel like he was a really good teacher. You know, I feel like he really cared about the kids, so I thought they did show that well enough. But yeah, maybe they could add more to the link. They could have replaced more. They could have had more scenes of him teaching the kids, replacing the socialist scene and the romance scenes. Which I really didn't mind, like showing that there was like a socialist movement in Canada at the time. Like I know that was probably like a historic thing, but they just didn't. It just wasn't needed, you know. So
Or do something more with it, right? Like
yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
I-
Either fix that or
Yeah, I kind of
either
disagree.
fix
I think it was
or-
I think it was important to have that scene actually because there is that movement going on.
I agree with that. I just think that they obviously didn't know what they were doing with that scene or that part of
That's
the
true.
movie. So
That's fair.
it didn't develop very much.
I think that's what Orion and you are saying. I think both of you are saying, hey,
Yeah.
they didn't develop, and I agree. They could have just.
I'm cool with that. Like,
Yeah.
especially at the
just.
time, you know, like.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say obviously like FDR, you know, he had some socialist policies. It was a very socialist time, so like obviously I understand that. I'm not putting down socialism. I'm not. I'm just putting the fact that it didn't. They didn't make it make sense. You know, they could have either fix that part of the movie, or they could have replaced that with classroom scenes.
Just so that we're clear too, at one point, so this man's teaching, Bud Cort is teaching in Canada, rural Canada,
Saskatchewan.
meager resources, as I mentioned, and all of a sudden, somebody from the town says, "Are you speaking at the meeting?" "I'm not speaking at this communist meeting." This comes out of the blue, and he's fighting it until his admin says, "You better not go to that meeting." And then he goes, "Well, now I am going to that meeting." And then he speaks at this meeting, at this communist meeting, and he talks about lack of resources and lack of team funding, and then that's it.
Right.
Made no sense.
He doesn't even give a good speech. Like, it's kind of like funny. And so I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, is it like supposed to be a comedy? I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be like a comedy like thing. It was making fun of the whole thing, or if
I
it
think
was...
there are those elements of comedy, right? I mean, in the film regarding like once you see the scene where it looks winter and at the bottom it says springtime. Right? It's like,
yeah,
so
I
think they're
funny.
trying to show that, that there's little comedy elements. But I think I disagree with you guys though regarding the romantic part though. I felt like it showed that he was lonely because he said it a couple of times. He's by himself the whole year in that schoolhouse in the basement living. It's a really meager existence. And this woman with children and a husband who doesn't love her, who doesn't treat her like property. And she knows that this guy at least is kind, even though he's younger. And it shows just the loneliness of the prairie there, right? Of being there in Saskatchewan, right? And you see that, it just seemed a little uncomfortable because they're different ages and what nothing was really led up to that relationship, but you do see that they were two people who just needed to be with another person and who cared about them. So I thought that was maybe what should have happened was maybe more of that in the film. I don't know.
Thou shalt not have thy neighbor's wife, but I guess you have a different philosophy, clearly.
Right. But
so it sounds like you like the movie.
Oh, did you like it? Ryan, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I think we both
thought it was really good. I thought it was good.
Said we liked it. We're just waiting. Okay. So you liked it. In particular, what, Jake?
Well, like I said, I enjoyed of course, the time period, like Orion said, regarding this 1930s Depression era. It's not just hitting the United States, it's hitting Canada even worse. It's just, as a teacher, I could appreciate this guy who's teaching 10 different grades, 10 different lessons. And at one point, the superintendent tells him, this crazy superintendent says, "Hey, where's your journals?" Like probably like journals of what's going on in his life there, teaching. He's like, "What? I have to come up with 10 different lessons. I have to give these lessons." And you see him, and Ryan's right. I mean, they don't show a lot of it, but they do show some of it where he's going and he's teaching these kids about geography, and then he goes to the older kids with math. And you're like, what a job. I mean, Ruben, I don't have 10 different lessons I'm giving a day. If I give, I have 3 different classes, I go crazy, right? And so I really appreciated that of the film, how they show that, and of course how they showed just that being so barren. I agree with Orion when he says the quality of the film was a little too, to me, it was a little too grainy, like it was made on a VHS or something. But you still
I don't
liked
know.
it.
I don't know if that's the director's issue though. I think it might just be the print that we have.
I think it might be. That's true.
Yeah. So I do want to point
They
out.
probably just never restored it.
Yeah.
I want to point out that because we talk about some of the teaching aspects, you've already brought out some of them, but I do want to say a few of them that I wrote down. He shares food with some of the poor kids. He shares his food. You can tell he really is sympathetic and just feeling, for these poor kids who don't have enough to eat in his classroom. He broke the students in learning stations, which you have to do, but it seems like he instinctually knew that he couldn't just teach this class with all these different learning abilities and ages, but he broke them up. He recognized the artistic talent of this one particular student who was very withdrawn. Her name was Mary Field, I believe. He recognized it and he identified it to her mother as important. This is an important thing because if you could recognize one thing, then you could build on that, especially if it's a student who is not connecting in other ways. And he taught them Shakespeare, As You Like It. At one point, he was teaching, and I noticed that he involved the students. Most people on the face of it would not encourage him to teach something as demanding as Shakespeare, but what he does is he involves these kids. Some were playing the branches, some were the wind and the chimes as he was reading the lines. They were involved in these scenes, and that's great teaching. So it's really the thing that made it pushed me over the edge to liking the film is his teaching style was excellent.
It was great. I do like those little quirky little scenes like I was sharing regarding at one point they're looking for gopher tails. They have to get these tails to the state for like 10 cents a tail. And that's hilarious. But there's the superintendent who comes into the classroom and starts asking these students these questions. My favorite line, Ruben and Orion, is where he goes to, I think the little girl Mary, he goes, "Hey Mary," or no, he goes, "Yeah, Mary, what's define beach?" She goes, "Well, it's a female dog." Right. And just little quirky things like that makes it fun. And that's why I went ahead and said this is a film I would recommend. Like you shared, Ruben, all these strategies that he had. He really shows that he is a good teacher. And I love that he hated being there that year. He wanted to be around people. And then at the end of I don't want to, well, is it spoiling the film to say what happens at the end, Ruben, regarding?
Well, what's fascinating is that he can't wait to get on that train back to New York.
Yeah.
And here's the question. Why does he come back the next year?
I love that. Why does he come back?
After all this complaining and frustration and loneliness and all this struggle, it's something he wants to go back to. It's a mystery if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like, why? And it makes you, it doesn't answer the question because he was complaining and he didn't want to go back. But then again, he probably grew, or it's just an ongoing thought experiment to ask the question, why does he choose to come back?
And here's another question. Why is the title, Why Shoot the Teacher?
Yeah.
Do you have an idea, Orion? Why shoot the teacher?
I mean, obviously it's like metaphorical, but I kind of was thinking it's because like a lot of part of the movie, like people will get upset with him for doing things like I think at one point they got upset at him for sharing the food with the poor kids, like the parents.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like, I mean, he doesn't get paid enough, so like, I mean, like, why shoot him, so
Why shoot the guy who's giving information, right? Giving help.
In the movie he says he doesn't even like he never really sees a penny of the money he gets because they give him like an IOU or something for the bank to give him money, and he's like, where's my money? He's getting like $20 a month, and that's not very much. So
excellent.
Very good. Well, we want to thank you, Orion, for joining us.
Thank you, Orion,
on this episode of
Yes.
Movie. And we appreciate your contributions to this discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Orion.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
See you.